I'm Jessica Bell. I'm the MPP for University Rosedale and the Ontario NDP's Housing Critic. We are joined here today by the National Farmers Union, Ontario chapter, Stop Sprawl, Ham Ont, MPP Sandy Shaw for Hamilton West, Dundas, Ancaster. I'm very sorry about that.
That's okay. It's a long one.
Yeah. As well as Phil Pothen from Environmental Defence, who is in the press gallery today and showing his support. They've been big supporters of moves to really curb suburban sprawl. There is no question Ontario has a housing affordability crisis. It is too expensive to rent in Ontario. It is too expensive to buy in Ontario. And many people have given up on Ontario and they're moving to other provinces because this province is becoming unaffordable. To achieve our goal of addressing the housing crisis and ensuring everyone can have a home that they can afford, we need to build and spur the construction of 1.5 million new homes. We need to build thousands of affordable homes. We need to make rent more affordable by stabilising rent prices. And we very much need to clamp down on investor-led speculation to ensure that our housing sector is about providing homes to people first and not profit for investors. But we also know what we don't need to do. Experts have been very clear that we do not need to open up new land for development in order to meet our housing targets. Even the Ontario government's own Housing Affordability Task Force said that access to land is not a barrier for Ontario to build 1.5 million new homes because we already have more than enough land zoned for development. I am introducing a motion at Queen's Park when we return on February the 21st that directs municipalities to update their official plans to meet their housing, job and growth needs by building in areas already zoned for development. That is a very effective way to meet our housing targets, provide homes for people, and also protect our greenbelt and our precious farmland. That is not what the Ford government wants to do. The Ford government has thrown the idea of planning for a sustainable future. They've crumpled it up and they've thrown it out the car window because they are forcing many municipalities across southern Ontario to expand their urban boundary and permit suburban sprawl on farmland and greenbelt land. And let's be clear, once you pave farmland, it is gone. They've done this with Hamilton, they've done this with Halton, and we very much fear they're going to be doing the same thing in the Waterloo region in the coming weeks. If Ford continues down this path, I fear that Southern Ontario is going to turn into a concrete jungle of highways, McMansions that cost $1.5 million to buy, and soul-destroying epic commutes because our region will be unsustainable. I fear also that the only people who will benefit from this archaic and outdated approach to land use planning are developers who give to the PC party. It is not a coincidence that some of the PC party's biggest donors brought protected farmland and greenbelt land in areas that are now being rezoned for development through Ford meddling in the municipal urban boundary process. This happened in Ottawa and it is happening elsewhere. Instead of planning to help donors get richer, we need to plan for the public interest, we need to plan for a livable future, and we need to plan right. We, like so many people across Ontario, champion legislative and zoning changes for us to meet our target of building 1.5 million homes. That is why we are in support of ending exclusionary zoning and building townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and apartments in neighbourhoods people want to live in, so where they live is close to where they work, they play, and they study. This is how we should be planning for Ontario's future. Thank you. The next person that I would like to introduce to speak is Rav Singh from the National Farmers Union of Ontario. I'm really pleased you're here.
Thank you, MPP Bell. The National Farmers Union of Ontario is strongly opposed to the Duffins Rouge Agricultural Preserve Repeal Act and the amendments to the Greenbelt Area Boundary Regulation. It is appalling that this legislation was pushed through amidst public opposition and clear support for the Greenbelt and DRAP lands to remain permanently protected. The DRAP lands include 4,700 acres of Class 1 and 2 farmland, which is the rarest, richest, and most fertile land in Ontario. This farmland can produce local food for diverse GTA communities, fulfilling the amendment to the Local Food Act. Instead, the Ontario government has earmarked these lands for urban sprawl. According to the provincial policy statement, prime agricultural areas are protected for long-term agricultural use. The ministry website states that this land is finite and non-renewable, and that great care must be taken to make sure we have this resource for generations of farmers to come. Yet, the Ontario government has launched an attack on the Greenbelt and the DRAP in the name of providing 1.5 million houses for new Ontarians. Solving the housing crisis does not require the removal of finite, irreplaceable, and invaluable agricultural and natural heritage lands. Solving the housing crisis also does not require bypassing municipal democratic land use planning processes. Greater Golden Horseshoe municipalities have already identified that they have more than enough land for housing projections to 2051. According to the 2021 Census of Agriculture, we already lose 319 acres of farmland per day. With the DRAP Repeal Act and the carving up of the Greenbelt, the amount of farmland we are now poised to lose is completely unsustainable. The NFUO joins Stop Sprawl Hamilton, MPP Bell, and MPP Shaw, and all others today to support Southern Ontario municipalities in maintaining firm urban boundaries and restricting development and sprawl on surrounding farmland. Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming here and speaking. We really appreciate it. Next up, I'd like to invite Lily Noble from Stop Sprawl Hamont.
Well, we'd like to thank Jessica Bell for inviting us here today, and so we could tell you what's happening in Hamilton. You know, thousands of Hamiltonians banded together to form Stop Sprawl Hamont in response to Ford government's policy changes promoting McMansions on our precious farmland. We flooded the inboxes of councillors demanding they stand up for our prime farmland. We had the most citizen delegations at City Hall in the Mayor's memory. In the summer of 2021, an unprecedented 90% of official survey respondents voted to keep Hamilton's urban boundary fixed. In November 2021, Hamilton Council voted 13-3 to preserve our farmland, with thousands watching online. Hamilton created an official plan that met all the province's growth requirements without destroying farmland. So we were shocked to hear that our democratic process was unilaterally overridden. The province imposed this land expansion on us. It is reckless. Quality of life for everyone declines when we sprawl. We don't need this land grab. Now, thankfully, our new council wants to save it, not pave it too. Our city council stood up to the province and passed a unanimous motion on February 1st, telling Minister Clark that adding 5,400 acres of farmland to the urban boundary is unnecessary and is not supported by the City of Hamilton. The debate isn't if we build, it's where we build. So here's the thing. Why is Minister Clark unilaterally overriding our municipal decision when, according to our own staff, Hamilton's official plan already met all provincial requirements and has enough land? Why, according to the Hamilton Spectator, did 3 developers approach a tree farm owner to buy his land weeks before Minister Clark's announcement to override our municipal decision? Hamiltonians are outraged, and we look forward to the investigations by the Integrity Commissioner, the Auditor General, and especially the outcome of the Eco-Justice Environmental Defence Court case. We are outraged and demand answers about who knew what and when and why this is happening. We are unrelenting. Citizens are more engaged than ever. Momentum is growing every single day. We've had rallies with thousands of attendees, and our social media is blowing up with citizen engagement. We are not going anywhere. Sprawl costs us all. Ford is forcing towns to raise taxes so some developers can get a free pass. We've seen our grocery bills skyrocket. So we can't imagine food prices if some of Canada's best farmland is sold off at bargain basement prices to be paved over. What is the plan for developers to pass on savings from these cheap lands to homebuyers? We haven't heard a plan to ensure they don't just pocket the money. Where's the plan? What young family can afford to buy a single-family home far away from transit, especially when building costs run hundreds of dollars a square foot? Is this entire land grab to serve land speculators who want to build McMansions? It's certainly not for the people of Hamilton or Ontario, who deserve true affordability. Sprawl costs us all.
Thank you, Lily. That was really inspiring. We're not going anywhere either. Next up, I'd like to introduce my friend and colleague, Sandy Shaw.
Thank you very much, MPP Bell. I'm really excited to be here and happy to be here, and I want to thank you, MPP Bell, for organizing this today and for this really very important motion. I just have to say off the start, I am so proud to be from Hamilton, and I'm so proud of the women that are on this stage that has started a grassroots movement in Hamilton. It was a remarkable organizing event, and to stand here with grassroots folks from Hamilton who are saying stop sprawl, and to hear from the Ontario Federation of Agriculture to say that this is so wrong-headed. These are remarkable times, and that's why this bill is so important. So there's no confusion about what's happening in Ontario and in my riding of Hamilton West, Ancaster, Dundas. I mean, groups like here on the stage and others have been calling out Ford for betraying the trust of Ontarians. His job was to protect the Greenbelt. It was to be undeveloped forever, and he's betrayed that trust. And he's clearly ignoring or doesn't care about the real threat that this development poses to species at risk, our natural wetlands. He's been slashing conservation authorities across the province, their power to protect our wetlands, and he's clearly undermining local governance. I mean, it's not just undermining, he's bigfooting local governance, giving complete zoning power to his municipal affairs minister and overriding local democratic processes, which are to be respected. We should be respecting all orders of government and folks that elect municipal councils to represent them in the way that they have, especially in Hamilton. So for months there have been protests across the province with major stakeholders calling this plan a disaster for most of us. As has been described by Lily, it's a disaster for most of us because it won't result in affordable housing, and it's a gold mine for the very few, many who, it's just a matter of public record, have a direct relationship to the Ford government and the Conservative Party. So if Ford is truly serious about building housing and supporting municipalities, the question stands, why would he ignore a letter from Hamilton City Council that outlined the devastating costs it takes to make his plan work? It would require huge and unnecessary investments in infrastructure spending that will fall on only one pocket, the tax and ratepayers of the municipality of Hamilton, and the same will happen across the province. And as we're hearing, the cost, people are struggling with the cost of groceries. The inflation is hurting people already. The last thing they need is to bear the cost of unnecessary development. So the city of Hamilton has started making these zoning changes and has clearly said that they are able to accommodate the necessary growth for housing within the existing urban boundaries. They've tried to communicate this plan to the Premier. He continues to refuse to listen. We ask the question, why would he choose to implement a more expensive plan when an easier and more affordable plan is being proposed by his municipal partner, the City of Hamilton, a plan that won't destroy the Greenbelt, that will save farmland and won't cost taxpayers undue fees that are being passed down from the developers? You know, something about this just doesn't add up. And we really need to get at the truth of why this plan is going this direction and who is driving this plan. Who will this benefit? And I also look forward to the outcome of the Auditor General, the Integrity Commissioner, and I believe also the OPP Rackets Division is looking at a possible investigation as well. These are the kinds of answers that we deserve and we need when so much is at risk. And so I thank all of you for being here today. And as has been said before, you know, we're not going away. We will continue this fight because what's at stake is so vitally important for us and for future generations. So thank you again for everyone for being here today.
Thank you so much, Sandy. Does anyone have any questions on the line?
No questions on the line.
Well, thank you everyone for coming here, and thank you to all of you for standing up for the Greenbelt and for our farmland and putting forward a better vision for how we can build homes for people now and in the future.